All ready? We will call this meeting to order, and I do thank all of you for getting up early and showing up. We don't normally have morning meetings, but this one is a morning meeting, so good luck, because we have some very difficult decisions to make today. We had a request for a timeout. So go ahead.
Richard, we have the agenda first. Do you want to do Rose's statement or the agenda?
Well, let's bring Rose in. Is your speech got anything to do with what we're gonna be discussing today?
I think so.
Well, let's take the agenda then. Approval of the agenda. So Dale also approved. And John. And opposed. Carried. Anyone have a declaration of pecuniary interest in what we have here today? Seeing none. Well, we'll turn it over to.
This is really brief. So I'm going to address the comments made at a meeting last Wednesday and also our council meeting on Thursday. First off, Dave, you're doing an excellent job and bringing us accurate information, which is necessary for us to make decisions. I think it's called boots on the ground.
Oh, thanks.
If you don't make them, we don't have a chance to understand. So I think it was awesome. So I think there needs to be an apology made for what was said at the last Wednesday meeting. And then on Thursday at a regular council meeting, the negativity exhibited towards our staff should not have been made in public forum. Your concerns should be addressed with Denise one-on-one. Our staff is frontline and we need to stay positive and kind to them. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Rose. We have, I thought, still a few things to finish in the operating budget, but according to this, we don't.
Well,
We get through it.
we have to discuss it. We sat with Ron. You had requested us to relook at the surface treatment and the graveling budget. We've given you a spreadsheet. Ron has had that down. So if that's acceptable to council, we can change those operational budgets first. And then we can move over to capital budget there.
Okay, before we leave it, I did take the time to summarize where we were standing. And I think it's relevant to bring this to everybody's attention at this point. We of course are still working a little bit behind the eight ball when dealing with 23, 24, and 25. But we do have an interim statement for 23, 24 kind of fits in the same category. 25 was a little more open because we didn't have a completed 23 or 24. So if I'm looking at the figures that we ended up with for 2025, the operating costs were $8,157,000. Our budget for 26 comes in at the figures we ended up with at the end of the session the other night was $9,788,000. So that is an increase between 25 and 26 of $1.6 million. So I don't know how much we can play with this without being realistic and taking a good hard look at what we're dealing with in our operating. I'm suggesting we hold back on the capital until we have a more realistic figures to look at it in operating. Is that reasonable for the thinking of council?
Realistically, how much of that operating can we do? I mean, we have all the increases in OPP and DSABs and all of that, which are uncontrollable costs. So the only thing that we can control is our operating expenses. But I mean, even in roads, if we don't do maintenance on the roads that we have, it's only gonna cost more money in the long scheme of things. So if we don't do our maintenance, I mean, it's one thing not to do capital, but if you don't do your maintenance, it's just gonna cost you more money. And that's either on our buildings, on our roads, or on anything.
Anyone else? Rose?
No, we have to do capital because we didn't road shift. That's a given.
Well, that's being financed anyway, so what do they think are operating?
Okay. But no, I like to see some capital.
Yeah, well, we definitely have to get to it, but I'm just saying, before we move into it, and I'll just answer Derek's question there. Derek, I did a total cost over the last 5 years. In 2021, our operating expenses were 7.6 million. In 22, they were 7.7. In 23, they were 7.7. And then there was a fairly substantial jump to 8.3 in 24. And then a little drop of 8.1 in 25. But 9.8 in 26 estimates. So we just can't live with that kind of a jump. So that's a total of 1.6 million increase over 25 for our budget of 26.
The mayor, do we know what
Yeah,
department?
I did some percentages too, Brian. The numbers of the percentages don't always agree with the figures because the Finance and Economic Development Committee was the big one out the gate at 57% increase.
Skies.
And I think there was probably a new staff member involved in that. Correctly. Yeah. So, and the next big one was 36% for the roads. And that was an extra $527,000. That was followed with our water, waste and education. 16%, which was another 357,000. I'll take another look at that one.
Richard, I'm just gonna, where are you getting a 50% increase in the Fed budget? I'm not seeing that.
The Fed budget, Adam had a $376,000 for the estimate of 2025. And we have a 594,000 budget figure.
I believe there is a contribution to the reserve pieces in there, the transfer, I believe. I'll go and check that real quick.
Not in Fed. What do you?
Didn't go didn't gone up that much. Makes no sense.
It was,
So at the bottom of your Fed, what is your budget figure? 594,000, right?
So that's fine.
594 is the 26 budget.
Yes, and the 25 budget was 560.
Yes, 376 was our actual spend. Our budget in 2025 was 560,000. Now it's 594,000 for a difference of 6%.
And the reason why there's a change is because we didn't hire the staff that we had budgeted to hire.
Okay, so there has been a revamping then from the original figures.
No, these were the
No,
original
these
figures.
were at the end of the last budget meeting. We haven't changed any figures from the last budget meeting.
No, you're addressing the two different columns, sir. You're taking a look at the twenty twenty-five actual versus the twenty twenty-six budget, as opposed to taking a look at the twenty twenty-five budget versus the twenty twenty-six budget. The twenty twenty-five budget said 560,900, and the twenty twenty-six budget says 594,700. That's only a difference of 6.03%. If you check the screen right there, you'll be able
Well,
to highlight it.
I obviously picked the wrong figure then. Anyways, that's my numbers, and then obviously the first one isn't right, so let's move on.
So, currently then,
Currently,
for all of operating, what is the increase for all of operating from the top? As it stands now without removing,
without, just based off the information that we did last session, we're looking at an increase of a decrease of 137,900, but water and sewer still have to be put in there. So add another 400,000 on approximately, so let's say a $300,000 increase, give or take.
and we've sat with Ron and we have a decrease almost equivalent to that.
Yeah, you've got a
So-
decrease of about 150,000 here. The rods.
So, I mean, I don't think it's necessary that we pause the budgeting process for these numbers.
200,000 difference everything what I had for the 25, but what Adam had some. We'll move on. It was the biggest one there anyways. Okay, so then let's. If you want to do anything, Adam, that we need to go back on the operating one that needs.
Well,
We're going to be driving bus here, Denise, I'll just run the screen.
where we ended up at the last budget meeting, there was a discussion on actually, let's get the quick things over first. Dave, is there anything that anybody?
I needed clarity on the arena operations from Minimoy Arena. So there was a question that came back to me saying, reach out to the groups. When we originally started the season, November 1st, I was very clear with every user group that the season was gonna end March 1st, pending budget approval to extend. So there was a request from minor hockey, March the 1st is a Sunday to do playoffs. They're gonna rent 5 hours of ice time. They believe they should have all their playoffs done by March the 7th. The public school has requested a public skate on March the 6th, the Friday, for the whole day. And that's it for the groups. Everything should be able to be completed by the Saturday, March the 7th. So we'd be extending the season by 1 week. If council wants to do that. If not, we would be canceling the public skating for the public school on the Friday. And all remaining program would go to Providence Bay Arena.
Was everything completed by that first week of 25?
We ended up closing with the wall moving. So our season is short, right?
Okay.
They had looked for, last year they had requested March 8th. So it's the same timeline for request. The playoff structures changed this year where it's round robin style. So we actually have playoffs starting the 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th and March the 1st. To be done, I talked to MMHA last night. They said they should have all their playoffs completed, all the games done by the Friday. So.
Yeah, if it's an extra week, I believe the minor hockey has said that they would pay for that week.
That's correct.
So really, what extra expense would we have?
Just the extra hydro and propane, right?
And weather.
And weather, we could have mild weather. Last year, the 4th of March, we got mild rain and weather and it flooded again, right? So it all depends on what happens with the snow accumulation and
They're certainly aware of that.
they're aware of that. Yeah, it all comes down to weather, right? So I could give them a hard, firm, fast date because they're looking for a set date.
Yeah.
So if I said that effective March 7th is the Saturday, that's the day we close. So we'll complete all programming on Saturday. And then starting on Monday, any programming will move to Providence Bay.
Anybody else
Okay with
want
that?
to comment? Got a rough problem. Sounds like you.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll reach out to the groups today.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave, with the consideration of plant decommissioning in Prov and not. I think maybe it's not here in the budget, but I think that's a discussion that we haven't had yet.
Right.
And we need to have that, we should have that before our meeting, our public meeting.
Okay, what questions do you have?
Basically the cost of decommissioning,
Okay,
we've been given, that estimate of 30,000.
right?
But our total, the big items, the plant hydro and plant equipment and maintenance comes to 27,000 in Prov. So if we're gonna pay 30 to decommission, what's it gonna cost us to keep the equipment there but not using it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I talked to you about it, and it's, roughly $3,000 to start
Yeah,
some
so,
days and $3,000 to finish.
yeah, so if council's wishes is to change your decision and not decommission, you guys, when you have that discussion, you still have to do the initial startup. You still have to do your tags and safeties. You still have to run the system. So what happens is your gaskets will swell, and because it's an ammonia system, you still have to make sure we're compliant. So you would do a regular operation, start it up as normal for 3 days, and then have them decommission at the same, not decommission, but shut it down. And you have to do that regular, and there's still TSSA certificates to be compliant and ammonia detection to be done. You basically still have to run it as if you haven't turned it on, no different than it sits for the summer. So you're looking at about $3,000 easily right there in the plant equipment operation side.
And then some hydro.
If you were to just leave the machine, the unit and everything just sitting on site right where it is, it's 3,000 just to have it ready to go in an emergency.
So this discussion, we have to consider expense and cost and, the difference between decommissioning and leaving it as is. Okay,
Yeah.
yep, thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah.
So I understand where they're coming from, but, yeah, what was the cost? Do you remember? We had it on a piece of paper about what it's gonna cost the next 5 years to maintain buildings.
Oh, that, you mean from the cent?
Was
Yeah,
it
for
5 million?
4 to 5 million. And then minimum too was
Right.
But that was a 5-year, 10-year.
I know, so that's 5 years. So here we are already talking about how much you've already increased, 1.6 million increase. And we're gonna increase even more. So it's not just a yearly cost that we're dealing with. And that's any fun that I have.
So the savings, you would save on, more than likely you'd be able to cut almost everything by half. Your supplies and services account, because you would not need toiletries, paper towel, thinning supplies through the winter, right? So you can reduce that. You would not have to have the same level of snow removal. You have to have it open for fire prevention. Plant equipment maintenance, easily half. And your hydro, there'd be no plant hydro. So, I mean, we could give you the rough numbers. If we were to say the arena's not operational, what would be the savings in total?
Dave, I don't think you're correct in saying there would be no plant hydro. The vast majority of that since commercial building is regulation and delivery costs.
Right?
And even though our hydro costs may be lowered, they will not be zero.
Be more than half though, right?
No, I don't believe so.
No.
Because you're talking about running the plant in the vast majority, especially in Prov, in just December only.
Okay.
Like part of November, part of December. So the vast majority of your hydro costs are incurred throughout the whole year. You would be saving a month, maybe a month and a half of hydro, and even then, not all of it. Because it's commercial, so you have your regulatory costs and your debt costs and whatever that we always pay on hydro. So the savings on hydro are going to be maybe a couple thousand at most.
Half my bill was delivery costs.
Maybe, Adam, if you could, that on your agendas to just do one of those rough summaries of what savings might be over the next 5 years. Which would be both operating and capital. Right?
We can discuss numbers here all we want, but they're not gonna be factual until our staff actually digs into it, so I think we're just spinning tires here.
Well,
I
it
know,
would be kind of nice figures to have.
I know, but I don't think we can get them here today.
Oh, I don't want to pay us.
No, just,
I personally, I think it's best to budget. Because we don't know what, in the end, after the public meetings and if everything that happens, it's just best to budget business as normal. And if it doesn't go in, and if council wishes to shut it down, then we can cover the costs at that time and realize any cost savings at that time.
That would be great, makes sense to me.
But unless we are willing to actually close the doors and scrap a building, we still have all the maintenance costs.
Yeah, well,
You still have to do the structural repairs and the painting and then the whole 9 yards as to what comes out of the inspection reports. Because
Maintain it, the
whether
useful
there's
for-
ice in it
the
or
exit.
not ice in it, makes no difference on the maintenance cost.
Anyways. Well, I think we need.
More
a
numbers.
rough estimate for the meeting on the 11th.
But in my opinion, it's best just to budget business as normal. And then we can realize the savings if they happen at the end of the year.
Decision has to be made and then we'll know where we're going at that.
So I do have that, is it a direction to staff that the Mindemoy Arena, it will remain open until March 8th?
Anybody have any objections to that? Dependent on the weather,
Yes, yeah.
so it'll move ahead with that. So much and then,
Yep.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to address for budget, Dave?
No, I think that was it, Denise.
Okay.
We were confirming that the swim raft is not gonna be put back in. There was kind of an unopened, wasn't really clear. You're gonna fix the swim raft and put it back or leave it out?
my thought was we had a whole bunch of things down there to play on, didn't we?
Yeah, I think that was the sum total of the discussion is because Splashdown's there.
Yeah.
That the swim raft is really, because you were saying, didn't you have a ladder? And we didn't get one complaint. Or the fact that the swim raft didn't have a ladder.
according to my notes, it says remove 5K from budget and we're keeping the Sandfield swimming pier ladder, so it sounds like that decision was made on that.
Yes, okay. So that, I think, concludes your portion of the budget there, Dave.
That does, Denise, thank you.
All right, so we can move on to, roads.
What's operating?
Roads operating. You'll see that we've given you a spreadsheet. We sat down with Ron and bargained with him on, what was absolutely necessary. We did. Just if council would take a look at it, if they have any questions to Ron regarding the operation part, which is the top part of the budget, the hard topping and the gravel portion.
How far does this set us back?
Again, if generally trying to get in the high teens, whether it be 15, 16, 17 kilometers of surface treatment done a year. The original numbers that were presented to council was, between the deputy superintendent and myself discussed, we just wanted to present to council what would get us up to, what we felt that needed to be brought up to catch us up to this year. And that would be, the same thing. So then as we removed the roads that in priority that we felt could survive another year or two, whatever's necessary, for surface treatment.
Well, I take about 140,000 that you've reduced your budget for road work now. Yeah, and
I think you've really come down hard on Ward 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that you've just taken off. On Ward 3.
I'm sorry, The Coventry, I do apologize, was a duplication. So in the surface treatment, that was that's actually just one of the ones that we pulled out of there. That was actually duplication that falls down in the capital. I apologize for that, misinformation.
So then you've come down to, White Lake, Dial Road, Case Watson, Lions Lane, all Ward 3.
Well, all of those roads originally in the gravel roads, all of them were Ward 3.
I know,
So unfortunately, if he's gotta cut somewhere, it's gonna have to be in Ward 3 since all the roads originally were in Ward 3. We're not hitting Ward 3 any harder. I mean, because there's nothing there from Ward 1 or Ward 2.
But that $140,000 this year, is it gonna cost us more than that next year? To catch up on this work? With increased costs and everything else.
There is, yes, the roads that have been identified, again, they will, within the next year or two, again, they will move up the priority list as others cycle in as well. So again, like I said, the roads that I've taken out are essentially roads that we can cold patch. And they will be fine, like I said, for another year or two. And we can get the ones that we feel need to really be done this year to save what we have.
Just, Mr. Mayor, I'm always scared of not doing work, and then it ultimately costs us more money in the next year, because costs on everything go up, coal patch, gravel, the whole 9 yard goes up. So do we actually see a cost savings in the overall township budget? We may see a little bit of a cost savings this year, but then if everything goes up $90,000 to $100,000 next year, you're not really seeing cost savings.
Well, that's council's decision. Yep.
we do have to have a balanced budget, so. It's not just roads, it's other places too that we're going to have to cut. If we don't get a balance, well, we can't operate.
Sure.
Go ahead, Rose.
On, that's what we're doing. Just that same. Well, Peter to pay Paul kind of thing, so, yeah. You done a good job, thank you.
So to summarize, the ask is that road surface treatment, it's currently sitting at 413,500 on the budget, be reduced to 257,000. And that the roads crushed gravel that's showing as 315 on budget be reduced to 117. The bottom portion of this document here deals with stuff in the capital budget, which we'll deal with shortly.
What's the first figure you gave for the surface treatment?
Surface treatment, right now, if you look in the first column, it says 413,500. That's what we currently have on our budget. The readjusted budget we're proposing is 257,000, the number next to it. So that's for the surface treatment account, and for the gravel treatment account, or sorry, the gravel account, crushed gravel. That's the budget is currently sitting at 315,000. If you look next to it, we're proposing a new budget of 117,000. So those are the two lines. So that's approximately $350,000, give or take, in savings out of those two items.
Everybody got that? Okay. So then that takes care of operating, right?
No, not yet, but that is, I haven't changed the budget on screen yet. That is something that we want to do to make that change.
Well,
I
agree
we
that
proposed it, but
we've got to do something and anybody disagree with that? I understand what Derek's saying, but we do have to live within our means.
okay, So.
For that section.
So the new total for total roads construction is now 396,500. So 396,500 for our total roads construction. And total roads committee is 1,610,500. So 1,610,500, and that is 3.99% increase. After those changes are in. This is all for one too.
Yes. Okay, we've also given you a staff report regarding a road employee. Haven't read it, then please take a moment to read it, and I mean, we can discuss it. We want to go through appendix 1. So when you've had a chance to read it, we'll give you a minute or two to review it. It's not that long. And we'll review the numbers in appendix 1.
Well, it looks to me, Ron, that was overtime hours that are really pushing this through the scale.
Yes, overtime hours, holiday hours as well, and also just the general, with the crew having time to make a more free flow of our tasks and, utilizing the equipment properly within the department.
Just to review some of the numbers, so that I know there's a lot of numbers on the appendix. Okay, so the top part of the appendix shows the 2024 numbers. The next part is the 2025 numbers. And you'll see in the bottom section of each of those charts that the number of overtime hours accumulated through the year. For the 2024, the number of overtime hours is over 1,000. And then the number of overtime hours for 2025 is up to 1,600, which is the equivalent of 200 days. Now, we would like to keep employee costs low, so, we ask the guys, hey, can you take it as time in lieu? Which time in lieu is extra vacation time. But the reality is, in order to allow for 200 extra vacation days, puts the roads department short. Because we really don't allow vacation in the high summer when road building is on. And we really don't allow it in the winter time, especially when snow plowing is required. Cause it's all hands on deck for those 2 busy seasons. So the reality is to allow the department to be able to vacation time their overtime in the 2 shoulder seasons leaves the department short. Extremely short sometimes. An extra worker would mitigate a good portion of those overtime hours, not all of them. Because of course, you know, when you're plowing, the plows need to work as the plows need to work, regardless of the hours that it's gonna take. So an extra employee would, and it would allow us to utilize those overtime hours as lieu hours instead of paid out overtime hours. And that's where the big cost is, because if you can see the overtime hours that were paid out, and not all of the hours were paid out. Like, I mean, if we look at the amount of hours that were given in lieu too, you know, that $38,000, that was just the amount we've paid out in cash as extra salary to the employees to compensate. And at the end of the year, we're still sitting at 842 hours of lieu time or overtime hours that still needs to be paid out, because not all of it was paid out by year end.
They're on our books as a liability, they're either gonna be used up and people taking time off or a cash payout, but either way, eventually they come off the books somehow.
But the reality is we've added a lot of extra work to the department. With the internalizing of the sidewalk plowing, which 2 years ago was contract. The sidewalk plowing has been added for Providence Bay. We now take on all of our parking lots. The parking lots in Spring Bay and Prov will be internalized probably in 2027 when that contract expires. And we've added for new snow plowing for the rest of this season, the Sandfield Hall, and for next season, it will be also the church. So we've also added drainage work to the department. Because our maintenance supervisor is now our drainage engineer. So it's feasible to think that a lot of that work then can be done in-house rather than contracted out. So if we look at what NEMI does, NEMI's got less lane kilometers than us. They've only got 340 lane kilometers. They run a department of 10. 2 are specifically landfill. So their department of 8 runs the roads. We have a department of 6 and we have more lane kilometers than they do. So I don't think it's unreasonable for the road superintendent to ask for an extra employee, given these figures. So if that's amenable, we will, we're only asking it for half a year this year, but the anticipation is that it will be full year for 2027.
Adam, or Dale?
Yeah, Denise, I see 47,000 with Merck. Without the extra overtime paid out. Can we look at what savings might be with the new employee compared to the 47,000 paid out for the half year?
I'm not understanding.
Well, there's gonna be savings because there's gonna be less overtime hours paid out, right?
Oh, yeah, so some of that overtime payout. It's hoped that with an extra employee, the vast majority of the lieu time that is accumulated will then be able to be paid out as extra vacation. So there won't be any need to have that $37,000 payout in extra wages.
It's what I was getting at is an extra employee for half a year, the savings that would do to mitigate the 47,000.
Well, the 47,000 is 2025. There is no mitigating that. Oh, sorry, the 37 is 2025, so that's spent already.
Yeah.
In looking at the future though, it's hoped that the extra employee will allow the staff to utilize lieu hours. And so it will help bring down that $37,000 of extra payment that we had in 2025.
Because keep in mind that 37,000 is just checks that we wrote cash flow out. We have on the books an additional liability of items to either be paid out or taken in time. That just shows a bit of it. There's still a fairly significant balance that could potentially be paid out if necessary. Or if people quit or whatever, those would be funds that are owed to them because it's owed to them. So right now, we're sitting on the books with, quite a few more dollars than the 37 that actually got paid out. So having somebody else in-house, like the theory is that that person would reduce future overtime accrued. So we can get that balance down to a more reasonable balance. So you, in fact, you would be saving it, assuming that, right now it's an assumption that you don't know whether you're gonna end up paying it out or not, because somebody could go on holidays and eventually use it. Or somebody could quit and walk away tomorrow and we'd have to pay it. So having this additional employee would try to get that overtime blue balance down. Allowing people to take their time and cover staff coverage.
And a good thing to understand is this department, as it is now, runs well, runs really well. We've got a good rate of retention. The youngest employee will have been there now for almost 3 years. Some of these employees are 10, 15-year employees. So we want to ensure that it doesn't get to the point where there's, you know, all this overtime and we don't really want to pay it out because it's going to cost us too much, but we have no way to allow them to take vacation. It gets, burnout happens. You know, I mean, especially when you talk about that this time of the year where the guys are working 10, 12, 14 hours a day in order to keep the roads clean with the snow. We like to ensure that the employees know that, because the vast majority of them don't want to be paid out. And they've said that. They said, well, you know, I just pay too much taxes then. You know, my check doesn't change because it all goes into taxes. I would rather have vacation time. But the reality is we cannot allow them to have that much vacation time because it would bring the department down to, you know, less than it could reasonably do its work with. So we want to ensure that they're able to take that as vacation time.
On your, sure that you'd have a more effective, a more efficient operation if you have one extra man to flow through the system.
Yes. Just to reiterate, as with Denise, currently, again, in the summertime, there is, when we do construction, which I'll just say June and July essentially is our construction, we don't have a lot of space for taking holidays. So essentially that leaves us August, September, and October, that we have multiple staff. There is actually at times where we have the majority of staff, there's either myself and one employee, or the majority of staff is completely off duty in that time to consume as many hours as we can. And then again, that is, my goal is to begin, essentially, once our construction season and the snow melts, that we can start doing and using holidays and, with an extra person.
Any thoughts,
Yeah, I do.
Rose? Yeah.
I'm for it. I'm listening. I'm hearing. So I have no problem in hiring another person. In fact, it will help Ron. And the big part is exactly what Denise and Ron both saying is overtime. Not acceptable. They need to have the time off.
George, Charlie.
Are there any of the operators that you have close to retirement age?
The earliest one, I believe, I'm gonna say he's 3 years out. I'm sorry, I don't pay attention completely to, but I believe the earliest one is approximately 3 years out.
So if a new person were brought in, would you consider that may be a potential replacement for someone that might leave or take retirement?
Yes,
Nothing.
Well-
Well, to the department down the road.
It wouldn't relieve staff numbers at that point in time. When retirement happens, we would then hire to fill the position. We're not,
But you'd have somebody, you know, in the system that's able to move up to another position that you're not starting them right at scratch again, so it does improve the.
well, again, if I could say like this additional person would be an operator. That I would like to utilize with all and any equipment as necessary.
usually better in most organizations, and as many people as possible can do the jobs of his neighbor, then
Correct,
it's
yes, correct,
easier to manage.
yes.
But this will also eliminate our seasonal employee.
No,
No,
So this is over and above seasonal employee.
yes, correct.
To do away with all this overtime. Not recorded here. Right?
Listening to Ron, but he's made some good points here. If you can't keep your employees happy, if they can't get time off when they need it, then you gotta see them go bye-bye. I don't think it's gonna break the municipality, bringing on another one, at least this first year, only $47,000. Here's another year, so I don't think it's, I think it's well worth it.
So, Bill, any exceptions to that? Seems to be a consensus that we proceed and that you run your operation the way you need to run. Oh, is that built into our system then at
no,
this point?
that's something that needs to be added. That's the division,
That's, okay, so.
so we need to add that, so we're going to have to add,
Yeah, so to the salary here, I'm gonna be adding 35,000. And to the Mercs line, I'm gonna be adding
well,
12,000.
One of those, you take away in one hand and add in the other, and
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna name too much different.
Oh, no, because last year we actually struck checks to the tune of 37,000. If we're paying 47,000 for a new employee. So that changes about 10.
their crew last year saved the municipality a lot of money.
we did, with the work on the landfill, and over the past 2 years, we've saved, the roads crew has saved the municipality probably $1 million.
Okay, so the roads miscellaneous account, the new amount there is 1,014,000. So 1,014,000
So where? Which one?
roads miscellaneous,
Oh, wow. Well, here,
and that's a 16.22% increase.
is it with what?
1014. And our total roads is now 1,657,500. 1,657,500,
We're changing,
7.03% overall.
all right. So now we can move on to roads capital.
All right,
Capital, one part of operating,
good chat.
doesn't matter to me.
Oh, we sat down with Phil to get a handle on his training. He has provided some information.
Summarized on screen here too.
Yeah, so he's provided us some information, which we've provided to you. Yeah, there was a question from a counselor as to background for the numbers. Shows you the online hours, the amount of the roster that is trained. So he had originally asked for 41. We're taking that down to about 35. When all the numbers are said and done. So that would be, what page are we on here? Fire department training.
It's the very last page of operations.
That's the 34,875, you're rounding that to 35,000.
Correct?
34,875, you're rounding to 35,000.
35,000, yeah. Sorry, Rose, you had a question?
So that's workable for Phil then, like, it's okay with that number?
Yes, in fact, he did the.
That was his
the-
numbers.
That's
That was
his numbers, yes.
Okay.
We'd asked him to firm it up with respect to the roster size and exactly how many days of training. And he did that, and so we've got a more firmer number instead of just a guesstimate number.
Lost my budget somehow.
I don't know,
Yeah, I can't figure out how to buy
it's
that.
still up on the screen.
No, I have it too.
All right, so you're gonna change that
Yeah, I'm gonna just put that for now into this on training honoraria department.
Did you add it at the last?
There was, nothing was added.
Well, I said it
Oh,
was
did you?
104.
Oh, yeah.
Training honorarium was 104. So what it
Yeah.
really should be. what did I
I'm gonna
say,
put that, I'm
35?
gonna put that back down to 84 where it was. And I'm gonna put underneath here in this fire department training honorarium account for 35,000, you said?
Add 35,000 to that account then.
Okay, so the total fire chief expenses is now 159,000 even. Well, not.
I have it as originally 124. And then we changed it.
What did you have?
124 plus 35 is 159.
Oh, okay, no, maybe, sorry, I made a mistake in my.
Yeah, okay,
So what was it?
159,000 under total fire chief expenses. And that brings the total for the safety, security and health to 2,439,050. That's 2,439,050, 5.84%.
All right. Okay, so we can move on to capital. Let's go to,
Just before we leave this, Adam, you'll give me a copy of the summary there when you're finished. Operating. Okay.
all right, the capital details.
Yes, it is.
All right. So, for the, Ron doesn't have to stay here over everything. Can we do the roads capital first?
Yeah, let's get down to the road.
Dave, I think we're done. You don't need to
We
stay.
finished with maintenance capital?
I thought we had.
You don't need anything on capital?
Not really, no.
Wasn't sure if that was done deal or if there's taking a second look. Everything's good?
We do have to talk a little bit about it because, I mean, it has to do with the problems being at the town and things you can take out, she was out. Putting the product in that account.
Oh,
If everything is as our last meeting, then I'm done. If there's nothing else being done.
we had discussed about that.
We removed painting from the municipal office.
Yeah, we moved it.
Removed, swim wrap. Remove the Moby mats,
Oh, we are done.
pedestrian bridge, OSIM.
Yeah, we had discussed it.
I think everything is done on the maintenance capital.
Yeah, as far as everything's done.
Okay.
Thank you, council. Go back to it.
Thank you.
Keep stopping tax news for the guys.
That's all you're trying to get out of, isn't it?
No, they. Job is done, we all work together. Thank everybody for your time. You.
Yes, Dave.
Okay, so let's move to page, front page for the roads, capital. All right, so the road capital equipment purchases, the fuel card lock, which is definitely a priority now that we have our own internal fuel tanks. It's important that we have an accurate way of, tracking who's using the, fuel and a secure method of containment to ensure that, prevent that. So the card lock system will do that for us. Did you wanna go through these, Ron, and maybe give an explanation?
Okay. Again, as you started with the fuel card lock, that will, the benefit of that as well leads with, into finance with Adam. It's a cloud-based unit that Adam can look at. And then, so the finance will have access to, and then we can easily report on fuel mileage and it will be through all departments that require fuel throughout the municipality with municipal equipment. There's any questions in regards to the card lot?
So the card lock will be utilized by not only roads, but maintenance and fire.
Yeah, and it'll help our accounts payable system because it'll track which vehicle is the one drawn, so I'll be able to tell whether it's a maintenance expense, a fire expense, what kind of expense it is.
See, then you can track to those accounts and it should actually save us staff time on, bills from the public. Or from the public sector, right?
Well, right now, every time we get a bill, we have to go to Ron and he has to figure out, you know, how much his bill is,
Or Dave
or whatever, right?
Phil
Or
or,
Phil
Yeah.
or whoever, so if everything's going at the one spot, then we're actually at a decreased price for fuel than that the pump cost.
Absolutely, we're
And
saving about 20
Then
cents a liter.
all those bills coming in from all the different businesses in town,
Right, and we've already switched to that idea for the most part, fire is a little slow coming on board, but between maintenance and roads are all within all that same tank. Problem, the difference is now is that Ron has to manually every month give you a report, if they see this bill, 20% of it is for roads, 30% of it is for fire. The rest of it goes to maintenance, so he's doing a manual track on it, by whatever system he's using to figure out what the manual track is. This one will say vehicle 1, 2, 3 was the one who drew on this pump. So we should be able to track it on a per liter basis and
Good.
get there.
Eventually, probably a system where each vehicle has a number irrespective of what department it's in.
Yes,
Would be
correct.
easier too.
And that'll be, again, like with that system, ideally, I'd like to have it set up not only per vehicle, but also that, specifically who, which employee is, fueling that vehicle as well. Again, just so there's a security and a tracking of each liter being used.
Makes sense. Okay, so 25,000 looks good. Well, the other one, you've got three options there. Which one are you recommending, Ron?
If I could just begin with the digital log, I don't know if anyone had any questions in regards to that. We currently use an ACE system, for our snowplow, monitoring our snowplows with, going over roads and whatnot. At this point, it's pretty much been not utilized, just we haven't been able to connect with the ACE users or the main system, so this will be moving to Spectrum Communication, which I believe is what the fire department is using as well. And just moving so that we have tracking of our equipment, the same as, with Spectrum Communications. Is that's what that is. There's no questions then, again, as you said, Mr. Mayor, moving on to option A, B, and C. These were presented to you, again, my opinion or my option I like is option A with the 3/4 ton pickup truck, with a snowplow and a, sidewalk tractor, which again would be, what I was quoted on is 34 horsepower tractor that would fit our sidewalks. They can get it down to about 50 inches and our sidewalks are 5 feet wide. That would be, again, as a replacement or a complement to our trackless machine for sidewalk snow removal. Within that, again, with the John Deere or with a tractor purchase of that size, there is very much potential for a more of a year-round utilization of that equipment, within the municipality. The trackless with a ribbon blower, and snow blade, that would be essentially similar to the one we have, but the ribbon blower is the accessory that can load dump trucks from the ground, like from the, and again, it pretty much is for the same cost, you're essentially getting one machine, that would be able to travel to outlying outlying towns as far as Spring Bay, Sandfield, and it would have to be trailered the same as we currently do with our current trackless. And then option C is also just trackless without the ribbon blower. And a snow blade that would be mounted on the front of our, backhoe. Which again, then you're traveling again to outlying communities, whether it be Sandfield or Spring Bay. There's the possibility that that backhoe will be going up and down the road, more with again, that heavier weight on the front of it. So again, back to option A, this is why this was my favorite. The 3/4 ton pickup truck, which gives us the ability to travel to these outlying communities, whether it be again, Spring Bay, Providence Bay, Sandfield, much easier traveling. And that would also assist us with, again, a complement of a new tractor for our sidewalk, clearing abilities.
And it also has the additional benefit of providing another vehicle to trickle down the pipeline so that we can provide, bylaw with, the bylaw and building inspector with a better vehicle.
So again, I apologize, I did miss that, Adam, that's correct. We would trickle down with the 3/4 ton pickup truck, we would trickle down one of our half tons down to other staff within our organization.
Which 3/4 ton, you wouldn't be able to do that with, would you?
To trickle it down to, again, if we could, it's a heavier truck, just a heavier.
Probably don't need that in either the bylaw or
No, so one of his trucks can go to maintenance, one of maintenance trucks can go to bylaw or something along those lines. And it gives us the ability to shuffle the assets around so that a newer vehicle goes to the bylaw. Don't care which one, but a different one will end up going down the pipeline by the way it all shuffles down.
Our 2023 Dodge half-ton pickup truck has, I believe if it's not over, it's right around 70,000 kilometers on it. And again, if we are unable to pass it down to other departments, we will quickly, again, we put the most kilometers on a half-ton pickup truck, annually compared to other departments.
Okay, so any objections from anybody on that 190?
Rose had a question.
Oh, no.
Oh, I hear.
I was gonna say yes.
You have a question for me?
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Or
John.
if we purchased the current sidewalk machine, do you recall what the price of that was?
I believe we paid $15,000 for it at that point in time. And I apologize, I believe we put about 10,000 into it, for maintenance.
Well, 25.
Correct.
25 to 30.
Yeah,
But it was a used machine, a well-used machine.
and it has about 6,500 hours on it now.
Yeah, so it's getting close to an engine.
We have checked the turbo. The turbo does seem to be, again, it's not overly smoking, but there is other. I'm losing my long-term confidence in the machine.
So my question is, given we've had that machine now for 2 years, so it's cost us about $30,000 to have. What if we went to another used machine as a backup and not sell the one you've got? And you buy another machine for 15, 20,000 and use it as a backup?
That would have to be, again, we were lucky enough that this current machine was local. I would have to monitor again, my whatever, for instance, one website would be like Gov Deals or whatever. That usually the larger municipalities do cycle them down. Again, whether it be 3,000 hours or whatever, they cycle them out.
But, and my question is whether council would consider that as a viable option, rather than go to the low price of a brand new one. I'm surprised how expensive they are, but I guess it's like everything else. So. Just ask them, it's a means or ways of trying to, give Ron a little bit of leeway or something to back up on, but not at the full price.
Ron, are you set for that idea?
If council wishes to go that way, again, I would expect the same purchase price that we'd be looking at, probably in the area of about 20,000. And then again, there would be, some maintenance issues to look at it.
Also, you have to look at though, that is a specifically singular piece of equipment.
Correct.
It would not be usable for us in the summer, whereas a tractor would have other uses that's available in other seasons.
And you'd be landlocked with it, I mean, you'd have to have means of getting that trackless to here, there and everywhere.
A trailer, you know,
Yeah, or you'd have to be able to store in a secondary location, have that available to you too, so if you want to keep it out in Sandfield, for example. You'd have to have a spot out in Sandfield to stash it, so it's always there when you wanna use it.
At the price that,
problems, but
That's what I meant to say.
at the price that's suggested here, that does come with a front end loader, which again, as I mentioned, would be extremely useful for the maintenance department. Again, we use to assist the maintenance department in some of their beautification tasks. We use our backhoe, but sometimes it gets a little bit large and cumbersome working with some of that smaller flower beds and stuff. The front or the back or the loader on this tractor would be very useful. And then again, that also comes with the option to add, again, this is not in a cost, but to add a backhoe that could be used in tighter spaces as well, would be another $17,000 approximately on that. But then that could be utilized by the maintenance department for any tight spaces that need to be dug with the backhoe.
We have more visit, or
Utilization, yes, the tractor would be easier to utilize. Again, it has been suggested we would have to do further research with the actual tractor. Our roadside mowing tractor is also reaching end of life. And the dealership strongly believes that a tractor this size will be able to handle our roadside mower as well. But again, I cannot confirm that, for sure with that, but I believe that we can make it work for our roadside mowing as well.
anyone else? I think we'll probably proceed with your recommendations here. We'll move on. Anyway.
moving on to the roller packer.
Again, the roller packer, I had put that in as a suggestion, just we had some issues last year. It was suggested with packing down our fresh gravel. I did price out an attachment for the rear of our grader. It was approximately the same price. It'd be about $70,000 for an attachment for the rear of the grader. This roller packer is a used unit. I tried to stay around the 2,000 hour mark. It's an 8-ton roller. And again, that would be that we could use for essentially any construction. I know we used some rental equipment for our Providence Bay landfill closing it, which was again, this size of machine, that we could also use for fresh gravel, rolling, our fresh gravel, and we could use it for other construction within the municipality that required a roller packer as well. Again, it was one of the things I have presented. It is a priority 3 if if council feels that they want to remove that, it is understandable.
What's the wish, council?
Can you do without it for a year?
Yes.
We've got to stroke something. Is this one of the ones to do? Okay,
I think all threes are stroked. Sorry, Ron.
Nothing financial.
So we've got a roads, projects now.
So the catch and cook 'em from Old Highway, which would be up past Idle Glen to Highway 551. We have, again, on the sheet that was, we have deferred that. Just because this year, again, if you'll notice in there is also the, surveying. Just because around the corner, the curve at Idle Glen, there is some encroachment from, a hedge from a private owner, and the way that intersection with Idle Glen all works out. I would like to be able to identify what specifically is ours in that curve intersection, so that when we go to rebuild and clean up that road, that we are fully aware of what's going on in that intersection there. So, and also there is a, culvert that I have identified that is running water year round that does flow into Lake Minnemoya. So I would like to consult with M&R, just to make them completely aware, that we are going to replace that culvert.
But it's not a culvert, it's just a pipe, right?
Sorry, the pipe that was in the Idle Glen driveway, this is it's by the cottages, closer towards Old Highway, or where the water station, is. So again, it does flow water year round into Lake Minnemoya, so I just want to be, compliant with M&R in that situation.
So staff is recommending that we remove that 140,500 from the catch and cookum. Because there's administration work that I think should be required prior to doing the road rebuild in that area.
A more wholesome look at it.
Well, there's, in thinking about it, we realize that there could be other potential problems in that area, like shoreline wells. Do we know exactly where all the shoreline wells are for that area? If we're going to be rebuilding the road, should not the, affected parties be notified that we're going to be doing road work that could potentially affect their shoreline well? I think that's an area that we have to be really careful of, so that we don't incur liability with respect to somebody's water supply. So I think by holding it off a year and having some time to do the administration prior to complete the survey, so that we know where our boundary lines are, I think it's beneficial that we move that to next year's work.
You're on?
Yes.
Okay.
Then moving on to Coventry Road, that stretch of road is getting fairly broke up and beaten up. I would like to just do some minor ditching. We did a little bit on the, west end of Coventry this past year, just a little bit of ditching. Which at that point in time, we kind of identified that there should be a little more ditching work done along there. And then we would like to resurface that as well. Moving on to the next, the Minnemoya Ball Field.
Any
Sorry,
change on that, Denise?
No, we're in agreement that Coventry Road needs to move forward.
Okay, the ball field?
so the 5,100 Minnemoya Ball Field is, we had, I believe it was with Rib Fest last year, there was an issue identified with water sitting from basically.
Behind the old school.
Correct, yes. And if we dig that out and put a proper gravel driveway into the ball diamond, that's where that 5,100 comes in, is for time and material to just put, I believe it was 40 meters from the existing driveway by the arena to the ball field fence line, would be that 5,100. And then below that is the Minnemoya Ball Field Ring Road, which is essentially, if council decided to do that, that would be a ring road that would also go all the way around the pavilion, around the back, by the timing clock, and then come out behind and attach to the driveway behind the office complex here. And that would be, again, was identified as there was service items and service issues with, the mud and grass getting tore up with, porta potties and garbage collection, last year.
However, that's not something we necessarily recommend that we have to move forward on. That the new road around the ball field. So that's an item that could be cut if council wants to cut.
Bill,
We,
I think, Ron, back around the pavilion and out to the municipal, it was shredded, but it all came back quite quickly. There's not near as much traffic as in behind the old school.
Correct.
You said, some of it is pickup of the garbage bins, but it was a wet weekend, and you can have wet weekend every time you have, Rig Fest, but I think that has a lot to do with it. But it tracked down, but it all came back up. But the one in behind the school, that was sort of a permanent, hollow made.
Yes.
So I'd be okay, and I would say if we we'd look at it another year, see what Rig Fest does, maybe take that 21,000 out.
everybody happy with that?
question,
Go ahead, Aaron.
do we know where the property line is there?
Yes,
So all this work then would be on our property?
yes, the property line at the back end of where the ball diamonds are, by where the tennis courts is approximately to the middle of the tennis court. That's where it is. We know where the pins are, on either side of that area.
Okay, so that one, any objections to deletion? It has been deleted. Go ahead, yeah.
The only other thing, Ron, I think we can control the traffic better this year. Some of that traffic didn't need to come through there. And if we can reduce traffic, I think that would be a priority for our group to watch. How many cars are going through there?
Well, I'm not sure yet, that, the 100 stay or go.
I believe the 5100 is staying for the driveway,
Yes,
and the 21
21.9 is gone.
Okay, so the total for, the roads capital construction A is 105,600. 105,600. Oh, and I'm sorry, I never updated there about the capital equipment purchase. We removed the roller packer. So that number there is 220,700. 220,700.
So for the roads engineering, staff is not recommending any removal of the items there.
So Beaver Road needs to stay and Ida Glen, sir.
Yeah, so I mean, the Beaver Road is just the engineering, beginning of engineering work for the bridges. And then the Idle Glen survey is required if we want to move forward in 2027 with the Catching Pookum Trail road work.
And we are gonna do bridges there on Beaver Road, are we? There had been some discussions of whether that road needed to be there at all as far as access are concerned. What's your thoughts on that?
So aside from, access, but not necessarily, the engineering part of that will be, first of all, one of the concerns is to find the depth of where we can find stability or bedrock. But then also from there is to identify, instead of bridges, if we can just go with either a single bridge or even possibly a large culvert. And that's where the engineering comes in, is to see if actually two bridges are even required at that
So that
location.
kind of looks after trying to help us make a decision.
Correct. Correct.
Any other questions on that issue? $795,000 here to go towards that.
Yeah, I think, Ron, the whole issue of closing a road that's already there and maintained. I know there's not many residents there, but it's an access road, and you never know when you might need it, emergency or whatever. I'm not really in favor of all closing a road unless it was absolutely necessary. The cost was so significant, but don't like the idea of closing the road.
Well, hopefully this $95,000 will help us make that decision a little bit easier too. You use that road, Brian?
Every day,
Oh,
several times sometimes.
but you wouldn't mind driving around through,
You would drive straight instead of turning.
And many other residents down there in the two subdivisions, plus, the big, trailer park down there, they all use that road. It's
Okay.
very well used all summer, so.
So that will bring the total roads committee number to 426,300. 426,300.
Okay,
what about our final Glen survey? That's good too, then?
Yeah.
that has to go if we want to complete the anticipated road work in 2027.
All right, thank you kindly.
All right, thanks, Ron.
You can stay, but if you have nothing else to do, you go ahead.
All right, let's go back to the beginning of the capital and you start up top,
Beginning of the capital.
the capital details. So we're going to skip over the financing, this financing is tied to everything else.
Correct.
Okay, so we're gonna do the finance last, because that's tied to a lot of the other capital work that's in there. So the next one will be office and administration.
Thank you. So I'll argue with that one.
Thanks, Ron. All right, yeah, good day, Ron.
Take care. Anybody have an argument with the $12,000 for office and admin? We got that one, Denise.
We got that one? All right,
So
moving,
looking good.
looking good. So we've done the road capital, we can look over that. And then we've done the property, so we can.
I just speak to property really quickly. I know it's not really my place. But if we do the Providence Bay master plan, there will be the ability to get some funding for the welcome signs. Now, there are 3 welcome signs.
All those welcome signs are minimal.
In the morning, not bro.
No, but the design portion of them and one of the signs can probably be captured underneath the existing grant that we would be able to get by doing the master plan. That's why I would consider pushing that to 2027 if you'd like, because once you have the master plan done, you'll be able to get some funding to help offset the cost of the $240,000.
Oh, I see what you're saying to remove those to
If you
2027.
push it to 2027, we'll probably have some funding based off the master plan to be able to get the signs for less than 240. What I'm still trying to say here.
So
So
what,
just something to consider, and I don't have any idea what that funding would be.
where's the property master plan?
Providence Bay master plan is
Oh, we're looking at that.
down a bit, far left.
I'm sorry, hold on.
Plan, $50,000.
If I may, there is an issue with signs on the. What do we call them? Community center. The harbor center.
Yeah, that's great.
And signage. We're waiting for signage, and I think there's been some movement on signage.
Well,
So,
one of the things that Sarah's been researching in her talks with NOHSC and FedNor and all the other funding agencies is that some of these projects, like the Providence Bay Master Plan, because it deals with the beach area, tourism and the redesign of that whole area, some of it can be covered by grant funding. So one of the thoughts we're moving forward with is if we can incorporate within that Providence Bay Master Plan an overall sign design, so that we can carry forward from the master plan into other parts of the municipality, the same sign design. Right, so moving forward, if we are able to complete this Providence Bay Master Plan, it gives us a basis then to move on to the design of the Minnemoya signs, so that we have a coherent sign strategy for the whole municipality.
And we'll be able to get some funding to help offset the cost of the design and whatnot if we do the master plan first. I'm not saying we should, I'm just saying it's something to consider. If you shuffle the order of how you do things, you might be able to get some of this paid for if you do the master plan first and pause on the signage.
So what we're recommending is to remove the 3 signs from Moya and move them to 2027 until we complete the Providence Bay master plan, because that will give us an effective signage strategy on how we want to design the signs for the whole municipality.
So the master plan will be this year.
Yes, we want to keep that in.
That was a question.
Long way to get your.
Yes, a long way to get around it, but yes, we want to complete the master plan, and that'll give us some the design elements that we're looking for to hopefully incorporate within the Minimoy signs.
Don't put Providence Bay on the minimum.
Okay, so that does include then if you go to the new welcome signs, under parks and playgrounds, the 240,000, we're talking about 80,000 for a sign for 3 signs. We can remove that in 2026 to budget for 2027, once we have the design elements that we're looking for, so that all the signs within the municipality will have the same look to them. Okay, so that brings that parks and playground sections down to from 305 to,
Give me a second. Down to $65,000.
and that does affect the financing portion, so we'll deal with that at the end when everything else was being cleared off. All right. So then we'll move to our waste and water.
We're all done with property then.
Yes, oh, sorry, what's the bottom total for capital for property then?
Total property committee, 11,132,500. So it's not
Yeah,
really about
nine of that is finance for the.
road check.
Yeah, what is it changing the finance portion?
The finance book. What do you mean?
The financing, there should be a change in the financing.
Yeah, no, I changed by 240,000.
So it's just over 10 million?
So, 10 million. Let me grab this road. I got that tape.
040?
So 9 million that you're saying is for the shed,
Yeah.
the road shed, which may not be spent on 1 year. So that might get phased over, like phased in for 3 years or 4 years.
Yeah, the reality of that
Should find
$10 million is that it unlikely that that amount will be needed.
Yeah, but I mean, well, everybody's gotta be out of the old one by the end of 2027, right? So it's reality that we're going to be spending this 9 million over a couple budgets.
Yeah,
We
That's a
originally
little
just had
easier to
3 in
think.
there, and we changed that to 9 because we wanted the full cost of the
Yeah.
project and the
That'd be just a little bit easier to think.
easier to swallow.
okay, that's hard. No, don't make it, yeah. Okay,
Is it anticipated that we'll? The end of this council?
very pardon, John?
Don't we already have
Oh, we have the 9 million figure.
Yeah.
We know exactly exactly. Do we know what that figure is going to be? The consultants, are they coming back with the figure?
We should have a
before-
better estimate, yes. At the end of this design stage, one of the asks in the RFP is for a level B cost estimate, is it?
I don't know what level B cost estimate is, but.
I think that's within a 5% level.
Yeah,
6% or whatever for level B.
That's.
Yeah, so at the end of this design cycle, we will have a better cost estimate as to the entire cost of the build.
Okay, is there a date to that figure coming to us as of yet?
For the I'd have to
I
look
can,
at the,
I can find out in the book comments, and I'll go talk those real quick.
I think it's just a matter of interest, it's important, but not that important.
If we can have an answer to that property,
we can, yeah, definitely have you an answer on property.
Rosa's project that Rose is spearheading, she would have a better idea of some dates and times and deliverables than I do. To be honest, I'd have to go check with her right now.
No, that's fine.
That's all right. We'll get you that information for property.
Dale and I are still hoping it's gonna come in about 5.
Not doing anything.
It does have to go to an RFP, so, I mean, this is just a budget.
Yeah.
That's right, and the fact is that we may even estimate it at whatever, 7 million, 9 million. But the RFP may come in at wildly different from that. So depending on tariffs, depending on, marketplace, and it could be a lot of things that affect, the price of a bill.
But these guys are pretty, they do a lot of work in this type of area, so their numbers they seem to be fairly comfortable with what they're projecting. So,
And you signed a grant?
no. I didn't sign anything.
Any sign of it.
Oh, no, yeah.
Okay, so moving on to, the safety, security and health.
Yes,
We got some changes to that one, did we?
Yes.
but we didn't do
Oh,
WWE.
sorry, WWE, sorry, I jumped over that. It's fairly simple, the closure of the landfill, that's, just moving ahead with, engineering and stuff like that. We've just put a round figure in there for it. It, like I said, as with the Providence Bay landfill, we are anticipating that the Minden Oil landfill should be able to be closed in-house. So the figures on the closure of the Minden Oil landfill will hopefully be, a little bit more palatable than what we saw for Providence Bay initially before we did the work ourselves.
That's for a consultant, of course, I have.
Yeah,
What about Sandfield? Sandfield is still, could be an outstanding issue going into next year.
you mean Spring Bay?
Sorry, Spring Bay.
That is still an outstanding issue that we have not moved forward on yet, so that'll be the last of the ones that we deal with. Unfortunately, we don't have the funds to deal with them all
All at once.
parallel, all at once, yes, we're going to have to do them one by one and pick them off one by one.
So this one is 100,000 only, even though it shows the 200,000 there, right?
Yeah, cause that's the total of the total of that section. Now, we have to remember that the water and the wastewater capital is not in there. We will deal with that, this month, at, wastewater this month.
Yes.
Mhm.
In a couple days.
In a couple days, yeah.
Awesome.
Easy.
All right, so that takes care of waste and water.
All right, safety, security, and health. Now, we did see Phil this morning. And he did run in and give us the information that we requested on the training. However, he also did hand us this, said that he was,
Got the truck?
yeah, that's the
Well, he
truck.
told me about that, but I
He
wasn't.
said he'd
really
called
sure.
you.
That was just on your roads.
So we were unaware of it. It was an addition he thought to bring us this morning. So if council wishes to add it in to his budget,
How significant is it on the operation?
well, the used vehicle is 30,000. The used vehicle is a 2012 with 70,000 kilometers on it already. And the second page is for a new vehicle. Yeah. And the new vehicle, he said, was around what, 70?
Yes.
Well, then there's the accessories and then there's the office.
So,
So if you add it all up together, it's closer to 70. And that would be his new command center vehicle, he calls it.
Like 27.
First,
2027 budget.
so we can go through his budget and then we can talk about that request at the end of the budget.
Oh, you want to go back to operate? Or, we did already, that's right, sorry.
Yeah, we did the operating, yeah, we did that.
Yeah,
I
So
forgot.
well, that's fine.
his budget is 132, but of that 65,000 is committed because we have, grant, revenue coming in for that.
65,000.
Yeah, so that is confirmed, and, so we will move forward on that, that cannot be removed from the capital. So when we look at his actual, the remaining of his budget, that is not coming out of, taxation, we're looking at about 70,000.
67.2. Yeah.
Yes, 67 too. Without this vehicle request.
I've got 72, where's the 67 come from?
Oh, the 3,000
Yeah.
for the training tower labor cost only, you'll see that that hasn't moved forward to the net cost. And showed, yeah,
Where is that?
right here, 3,000,
No, it's on my bit.
is it? So what's your total?
67.2.
Then check your additions. Because the total, what's your total on the Province Bay Fire Hall? Your total on the Province Bay Fire Hall should be 87, not 57.
I see.
Okay,
So you have 87, 95, and 52, right?
yep. So it's 70,200, you're right, you're correct.
That's right, okay.
Yeah, one line can pick up from the front.
Yeah. All right, so is there any question on any of this?
The only thing that you have to kind of do is decide how much you're gonna need for the new building. And do that interest,
Sorry, for what?
the new fire hall or the new utility building.
The road shed building?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but that, we're gonna talk about that in Feb. Cause the financing for that building is encompassed within the Fed committee.
I thought we were at, what are we?
Oh, no, we're still in safety, security and health. I haven't moved past it. Is there any other,
What did we decide about the truck?
that's where we need to go.
Or right here?
Yeah.
Are we gonna add that or are we going to?
Denise, what is your, what is Phil saying? Is it desperate?
Doesn't have,
Well, we don't have one currently, so it's not replacing an existing piece of equipment. This will be a new equipment that's added to the line, first of all. Second of all, I'm always loath to purchase something used. There's a reason why people are getting rid of it. This is a second sell. Municipality sold it to declared it surplus and sold it to, it's there on there, David Bowerman. And he wants to purchase it from a
private individual.
private individual. So I don't know if he has maintained it. I'm sure, as you know, a private individual owner doesn't necessarily keep as good maintenance records as another municipality would. So I don't know what necessarily what condition it is, but ultimately when you buy used, you inherit somebody else's problem. And there's a reason why they declared it surplus, and it's not just high mileage.
Our system has always been that we want something new so that we don't inherit somebody else's problems. It's a little bit more, but we get better use, dependability.
A lot longer lifespan too, because if you look at this thing, this is a 2012. So what is the realistic lifespan on?
And what is the yearly maintenance
Vehicle.
cost on a 10-year-old vehicle versus 15-year-old vehicle versus a new vehicle? What's the maintenance cost per year?
Sometimes the used vehicle's better.
Possibly.
Sometimes, depending what line you're
Sometimes if you purchase like, from a larger fire department, their surplus stuff, you know that their stuff is being serviced. And it's just end of life for them, or it doesn't meet their expectations, moving forward. The fact that this thing here is gone private sort of bothers me. And the other thing is, Phil just got a fairly large training package, which was an extra, so there's gotta be an end of the line to the money for his department for 1 year. As much as I'm all for the fire department and keeping it number one, I think it's much more important, to train his men up than, worrying about a first response truck that's used and private.
Dale?
Yeah, what are the uses and the advantages of having, this is an extra truck called a command truck? How would Phil be using it?
I assume that it would be his to utilize, when they're going to a scene. I wish he was here to speak to it because I'm not on the fire department and I don't know exactly, you were on the fire department there.
It would be a vehicle that they would put like, auto extraction equipment in. So they had a specific call to an accident scene. It would be an emergency first responder vehicle that would get there. Pumper would be on its way, but they would have like that specialized equipment in it.
So you're saying this would be more like a first response?
It'd be a first response, vehicle.
So what they're doing now, they're obviously,
They're rolling with the pumpers and tankers.
in my opinion, I think we could defer this.
Anyone else comment?
Yeah, I would think that we could probably defer it. I'm always in the opinion that new is better than used, so.
Okay, anyone disagree with that? It is deferred.
Okay, so it's not on there anywhere yet. You only had one to add it.
Now we'll move on to our final. Finance.
So now we'll go to finance, because that's where we see where all the net changes are. With respect to the capital that we've removed.
So we've still got our blue road bridge adventure.
Yeah, there's, 4 years left on that.
So if we look at the external loans and the internal loans, the top half of the page, those are mandatory and we cannot remove them because those are already in progress. You move below, we have the new internal and external and the new internal loan. And those are the ones, so we've taken out, which ones have we taken out? The roller, packer, gone,
Correct.
okay? The
Welcome signs are gone.
the welcome signs, that's for the welcome signs.
That was good.
Yeah. So what does that bring the internal to? Yeah, net new total internal loans, what's that one?
1,150,000.
No, I'm saying this one here. Oh, sorry, this, okay, sorry.
Which question we asking?
Yeah, no, you're right, sorry, I.
Okay. 1,150,700.
So that's the, under the priority column for the new
New,
original loan amount, so how does that affect our total cost for that section? It's 244, this one here?
the one.
Okay, so you should remove the 12,500 and you should remove 40,000 out of that.
At least 2 right here.
40, so we should be at 188.
Yeah, 191.
Am I math wrong? Is my math wrong?
Maybe.
4 and
I
12.
just removed these 2 numbers right here.
Yeah, you remove
Yeah.
these two numbers, and so what is our new total?
191,784.
4 for a total. At the bottom. Here.
Okay, 674,706.
You see where those numbers come from, Richard?
Yeah.
So in the
Know what my
bottom,
thoughts are.
pardon?
Know what my thoughts are.
No, on the new. Okay. All right, so overall, let's go to the overall page. Go back to page 1, so we see overall page here. Up. You wanna look at your monitors there, you can see that? So what is our new net difference?
New net difference is $943,518.
So are you all right, Richard, with that being the reserve transfer? To balance the budget and move the budget forward?
I'll wait till I get Adam's figures. He was making the on hand time, and I didn't keep it up to date.
Well, that amount that we have there is inclusive of a anticipated 5% mill rate change. If you go to page 1, where you see the taxation, you'll see we've already filled in the line. The top of, page 3, you'll see the taxation line is already filled in.
$6,510,297.
That is a 5%, that is taxation with a 5% mill rate increase.
That 1860 for the Adam, that's what they have advised is coming for.
Yep.
Adam, I'm looking at the overall, so. You're talking about the difference? Am I on the right page, like page 2?
Yep.
So what is the difference now in the budget?
If you look at the screen, Councilor Scott, it's flat $943,518. That's what we need in order to balance the budget. And that's already taken into account a 5% tax increase. So even with the 5% tax increase, we are needing to deal with $943,000.
Hard.
What's cost of living? Projected for this year?
3.
For all of that, keep things up.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah, but they only saw it.
Problem's different.
Cut.
Yeah,
I get it.
But it's like 1,000 times our profit.
so it's 3, so we're looking at a 2% increase. The cost of living is that, our overall. And
You have to remember though, that's not the increase in the tax rate, because tax rate is education and mill rate and the municipal portion put together. Ours is 5, education rate is 0. So the amalgamation between the education and the tax rate and our mill rate, it would mean an effective rate of less than 5%. It's only 5% we're asking for the municipal portion.
There's a.
I honestly, I don't know what NIMI has done.
It was around there.
I won't let her 5.
Adam, was sewer and water not included in operation and capital? How does that affect this?
It doesn't affect the mill rate
Doesn't
at all,
affect-
no.
We'd be adding the same amount of revenue for the expense. So I mean, if we decide to bill $1 million for water and sewer, we'd be charging $1 million in tax for it.
Okay,
With a closed budget.
so it won't make any difference in the difference. Now that 943,
Mhm.
where can we find that?
Well, that's what we talk about, the reserve transfer. Because municipalities by law, the municipal act, are required to set in what's called a balanced budget. In other words, our revenues have to equal our expenses. And municipalities typically do that by doing a reserve transfer. If you've got a surplus that you're budgeting for, that reserve transfer then goes into reserves. And if you have if you budget for a loss, then it's a pull out of reserves so that you're balancing your revenues and your expenses. If you look, okay, so that, if you look at line item page in our revenues, right near the bottom of the revenue section. Right here. Yeah, okay, so I have it on the top of my page 6. There's some general accounts. That says that it's the one that's 1,441,383,1,000. That's the reserve to revenue, and that's a account that we have that we use to balance the budget, so that we'll, the budget that we put in shows that our revenue is equal to our expenses. But every year, we never have pulled that total amount. In the history that I've been treasurer, we've never pulled that full amount out of reserves. And indeed, if you look at, if you look at, jump around here, but if you look at page 1 again, okay, you'll see that there's no, amounts put in the actual, those actual figures. Because that's normally done at the end of audit time, and the auditors figure the actual transfer to and from reserves. But if you look at what our revenue and our actual revenue and expenses are for 23 and 24, okay, you'll see that both years have our revenues been more than our expenses. So even though we budgeted for a net loss, rarely is there a net loss actually realized. In 2023, we did have a net loss, as per the auditors, and that was what, 33,000?
Something like that, yeah, very small.
Right, so we might have budgeted for $1 million in net loss, but it's rarely is it ever a net loss actually to that amount realized.
And, as pre-audit statements, we're looking at, having $735,000 more revenue than expenses for preliminary 2024. And, that's $500,000, additional in 2025, both going into the reserve.
Even though both years we have projected or are budgeted for a net loss.
So. Right now you're projecting with 5%, but if we did that with 3%, pulled a bit more from the reserve, chances are we wouldn't be pulling that much out of the reserve anyway, because if something doesn't get done, or project doesn't get done, then that's off.
You'd be pulling about 116,000 more in reserves. Each percentage in
Yeah.
municipal rate equals about 58,000 in anticipated revenue.
I would be a lot more comfortable with 3% cost of living or whatever like that than going for something if we don't need it, then don't take it.
Denise, what are you looking at? What are you happy with? What would you be happy with?
That's a council policy. That's not my fault.
No, but we give you the math and everything. What, like if I came to you and said 5%?
We have transferred more than the ask here before. As a matter of history, we have transferred more than 943,000 out of reserves before. So with that 5% number, can we do it?
Budgeted for the transfer.
We have budgeted
Yes.
for a transfer of that amount before. It's been done.
But we need to be careful in this because for 24 and 25, you have to remember that a majority of that savings has come from the landfill. In 2024, we budgeted 1.2 million. In 2025, we budgeted 1.6 million.
We're not gonna be able to.
Right, so
generate
that savings isn't going to be realized in 2026. So we have to be careful in saying that, oh, we're not gonna have a net loss and we can, because these numbers weren't realized. Well, we knew that they were artificially high. And we knew that the reserve pull, since we were doing it internal, we had to budget for it to ensure that we could do the project. So that the project could move forward. You've seen how we had to budget for the road shed. Well, if we don't realize all those expenses, then it's gonna be a savings for us, obviously. Right, but we budget for it just in case we do need that, and so we can continue on with the project. So if you wish to move it down to 3%, that'll move that reserve pull.
1 second, let me see if I can just do it here.
Yeah, just do it right there.
3. See what that looks like. Theoretically, we should be able
It
to
should move right
100,000.
in. Yeah, which,
So now we're pulling from reserves, 1061. So let's call it 0162 million.
okay, so if we
If we
move it
change
down
the
to
3%.
3%, then that reserve transfer number goes to 1,062,000 approximately. It changes that, so
Not acceptable amount.
What do we have in reserve right now?
As of 2023, it was like 2.5 million, give or take.
But then did we,
It will increase a little bit in 2024, and it will increase a little bit in 2025. I don't know what those numbers are yet, because that's last thing the auditors do once everything is all squared away, is figure out the reserve. So I can't give you that number just now, but assuming everything holds for what I have, we'll be looking at putting another $1.2 million in there over the next two years. So for 2025, it would be up by $1.2 million.
you don't know, just.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but
Well,
I would say that the 2.5 million in reserves that we currently have at the end of 2023, we will not be seeing a decrease in that. I would be definitely comfortable
Yeah,
in giving that to council.
that's true.
so that 943 would come directly from that reserve
If it's
if
needed,
it's needed.
rarely do we ever realize the full amount of reserve pull that we need to balance the budget.
Because all it takes is one capital project that gets delayed and doesn't get done, or it takes one thing that comes in under budget, or it takes, one staffing, decision that never came to fruition or something, and we always end up saving a little bit of money here or there.
Just as an example, it was in 2024, we pulled out 2.1 million. But balanced the budget out of the reserves. And we also did a 2.1 million in 25 to balance it. But we only spent, instead of the 12 million that we had in our budget, we only spent 10. So we really didn't use.
And the reality of that one is because we budgeted 1.6 million for closing the landfill, and it cost us $200,000 in that fiscal year because we did it internally.
So the real question is, how much do you miss budget from? In that case, you budgeted with too high, you realized some very good savings, and
Well,
therefore,
no, the issue isn't that we budgeted high, the issue is that we did it internally.
no, but I mean.
Because
point
the
is that-
external estimate, contractor estimate was 1.6.
My point
So
is
that's what we
that
budgeted for.
compared to the budget versus our actual expenditures is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
It did, that's how the budget has to balance.
Yeah.
And we pulled out 2.1 to balance it.
we can change it and give you an estimate on any mill rate you ask for.
3%.
No,
So-
5.
Okay, let's take a vote on that. Derek?
Great.
Or 3%, you're saying
Yeah.
your motion is 3%? Derek?
Three.
No,
I
he's
need,
making a motion, so yay or nay, yes or no?
Yes. Sure. Okay, fine.
Brian,
Yes.
Linda?
No. Oh, do we have more discussion? No.
oh yeah, I would have to discuss, once we get it on the table.
Okay, so you want me to stop the vote and you can have your discussion?
Yeah.
Just wants the
All right.
votes.
We've got,
Okay, there is a motion on the floor though, so we can't make another motion until this motion is dealt with.
so
So-
we've got some of us that are figuring, and I do have the figures on the cost of living, and Denise had indicated it was to what, Denise?
Oh, with the cost of living increase for the staff was 3%. And I calculated that on Bank of Canada, average November to November, and I can show you the calculations. So ours was 3.0%.
Mine was 1.7, so 20%.
Mr. Merritt, when you say 3% inflation rate, but that doesn't include if we have any projects done, that's not 3% increases. We have projects done,
That's-
really.
We're budgeting for the projects, that's part of the budget. The increase, when you're looking at accounting for what's ahead. And that's what we're doing, we're not looking back, we're looking ahead. And we had a big surplus in what was the one grant we got, Denise? That covered something far greater than what we had accounted for, had anticipated.
Are you talking about years and years ago when we got that?
No, I'm talking about this year. Wasn't there one as far as used to be the old, energy, the old gas tax.
The
It's called
CCBF
something
funding?
different. Pardon?
The CCBF funding didn't increase.
It went up some.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like a nominal increase. It wasn't a huge unknown grant to the municipality kind of thing. Like the province has in years past given us money, just, okay, well, here's the 600,000 that we got probably about 15 years ago. It was unknown to the municipalities, and all of a sudden the province is saying, here's $600,000 for modernization.
Yeah, it was.
This budget has
Yeah.
accounted for no big windfall.
So as far as I know, we have no big increases in any of our grants.
Well, they come up with a little bit for policing costs there.
That's right.
They covered a lot of the policing costs that we thought was gonna be a big increase, and we got extra money.
That's
down.
through the oomph.
Yeah.
That's why the youth went from 16 to 18, 1.6 to 1.8.
So it's 1.8 this year.
Yeah.
The
Oh, I
oomph
thought-
funding is 1.8,
Thought that was-
yeah.
Well, Mr. Mayor, if I may, we have to remember that the 1.7 million that was set up for the town and restoration included all three, and we only ever completed one. So now we move forward, we budgeted for Maya,
Except
which
for
is
3%.
150. We still haven't accounted for spring
What is-
baby yet, so
What is the
it
increase?
was originally the hope that we did all three now. Time
Time.
hasn't allowed us to do that.
And what does it provide?
If we're looking at a big savings from the dump operation, that's one of the big, well, going back to last year's budget, that's one of the reasons why we got a big savings.
One was-
We just haven't spent the money yet. So,
So to translate this into actual real dollar amounts that the citizenry will see, with a 3% increase, that for every $100, for every 100,000 in assessment, their taxes will increase by $41.50 for every
For
100,000.
100,000.
For 100,000.
Yeah.
If it's a 5% increase, then that increases for every 100,000 in assessment, it's a 69.3 dollar increase. So, for every 100,000. So, I mean, if your assessment is 250,000 or 200,000, then at a 3% increase, you're looking at about an $82 increase for the whole year. At a 5% increase, you're looking at about $140 increase for the whole year on a $200,000 assessment.
Not too many $200,000 assessments around here would be.
I think the
4 to
mean,
5.
pardon?
Isn't 4 to 5, but more realistic.
I would have to go on impact to see what our median assessment is for like residential properties.
My guess is 3 to 4 anyway.
3 to 4 anyway, yeah.
Okay, so if we look at 3,
That's 350, give or take.
for 300,000, you're looking at about 120 a year,
Yeah.
and for a 5%, you're looking at about 200 for the year.
So that's $10 a month in the low month, yeah.
And in this economy right now, that is a lot of money to people out there.
It is.
That is a lot of money. When your groceries have tripled in price and your hydro's going up and everything else, that few $100s a year can break somebody. So I think we have to stay as low as we can.
Yeah.
What's the thought with that, impact? Will it be going up? Like that's our revenue too?
For 2026, the MPAC is staying steady. They're not anticipating increases, although there is push from the municipalities to get back into the cycle.
We haven't done a reassessment since, what,
This is
5 or
the,
6
this is
years
the
ago?
8th year that
8
we've had steady assessments. It's pre-COVID. Since we've had an assessment change and there is thought amongst the municipalities that they won't be able to jump up to current value assessment even in a 4-year cycle. Because the reality is how they assess now, Joe Blow built houses are expensive and people are building bigger and more expensive houses. Joe Blow builds a $600,000 house, beautiful house. However, it's only gonna be assessed $400,000. Even though we know if he were to sell it, he would get more than 600,000 for it. And the reason I've talked to MPAC about this, and the reason is that they have to look at, if he had built this house at that value back 8 years ago, before they froze the assessments, what value would it have then? And that's the assessment that even the new builds are a reduction in assessment to what it should be. And if we look at sales, because the way the assessment should be is current value assessment, the CVA, that's the title of it. However, when you buy a house, if you buy a house, you would think that, okay, well, now we know what the current value assessment is because it's just went through a purchase. This is its current value. However, that's not what MPAC is doing. MPAC is keeping you have a house that was assessed at, that's had a steady assessment at 250,000 that sells for 600,000. It's not being assessed at 600,000, even though we know that that is the value that has been pushed through the sale. It's still assessed at that 200,000 and it hasn't gone up. So the big difficulty the province is now having is, how do we bring that $200,000 house up to the 600,000 current market assessment? Because government knows that the taxpayer cannot sustain an increase in assessment of that magnitude and still be able to afford the taxes. So the municipalities are, now we're in this quandary. Well, if they do a 4-year cycle, how does that affect our mill rate? I mean, if our assessments have to jump up a $200,000 house to a $600,000 house in a 4-year cycle, that means we're tripling our taxes on these properties in a 4-year cycle. And we know that the ratepayer can't sustain that kind of an increase. That there will be a huge pushback to a 300,000, to a 3 times increase in their taxes. So
Are pretty tight on it too.
but so effectively, the municipalities are now looking at it, well, how do we reduce our rates to accommodate the increases in assessment?
Drop the mill rate, very simple.
That's right, but there's a lot of municipalities that don't think that way. That this is, we're just gonna eat that extra amount up, that the increase in assessments have given us.
To remember the 25% decrease that we did
Remember that.
in rates?
Or the
Can be
government could
done.
just change the way they do it and just, what you pay for your house is what you pay tax on. Once you sell your house, you pay the difference.
But that's the problem. If
Because
somebody's,
my house is worth what I paid for it. Don't care what the market value is, it's only worth what I paid for it.
though,
I'm not
that
planning on
doesn't,
selling
that
it, I'm
doesn't
planning on living
necessarily
it.
work, because then you have family transfers, dollar transfers. Well, I bought it for $1, because that's all it was required, because it was a family transfer. How do so I mean,
Then
there,
it would be on market value. So, but I'm saying when you go on a sale, there's the sale of the house. There you go. That's what I paid for it. That's what taxes should be based on.
taxes are based on the fact that there's a belief that if you have, a house that is significantly more valuable than your neighbor, therefore you should be able to afford that house. And that means higher taxes.
What happens around here is you'll have a neighbor and then the land gets sold around them and people start building $600,000-700,000 houses right beside them. And then his property value goes up because he's associated with them.
Last year was 5%, was it, right?
Yes.
From what I recall. And at the time, we weren't really any higher or lower, I don't think, than the island, than the other municipalities. Some
We
were,
were in the ballpark. We weren't an outlier either way.
I think we were number 3 is.
I don't remember offhand, but I know that it was outrageous that we were an outlier either way, high or low.
my only thing, you can go to 3, but there's not really any cushion, and we don't know what, like, if there's not getting impact, any changes. It is reserved that we're moving, and
It is our cushion, no matter how you look at it. I mean, the difference is the cushion is what you taxes versus what you take out of your reserve. So whether we underspend whatever, the difference is always gonna come out of what we take in our transfer to reserve.
Yeah.
So the more tax money you collect, the less money you're ever gonna have to take from reserve. So that's the difference. That's the plug in the equation.
So if you look at the math, so the 5% is only $11 a month.
It's more than that.
Why?
That money per month could be going to groceries for somebody that's on a fixed income. So you gotta think over and above. You may be able to afford 5%, but my neighbor may not because he went on pension 20 or 30 years ago, and his pension is so low. So that he's struggling to survive now. Now, we don't need the 5%, and I don't think we do right now. We took 5% last year because we were budgeting for the dump or for the landfill closure. We didn't dip into our reserves, what we thought we were going, so we had a surplus there. We did not budget for Spring Bay or Minnemoya last year, as John had alluded to. We did. We budgeted for Providence Bay to close that, and we did that, and we went in-house and got a surplus for that. So we didn't use that 5%. Because we didn't go into our reserves as deep as we had budgeted for. This year, we are only budgeting for Minnemoya, not Spring Bay. We're not even thinking about Spring Bay right now, as far as I'm concerned.
You're referring to landfill?
Eh?
You're referring to the landfill?
Yeah, the landfill. We're only looking for, no, just a minute, John, I'm finishing. Because there was some illusion here is that we're supposed to be budgeting for them all. We're not, we're doing one at a time. So Minnemoya is the next one, and we're budgeting for it, and it's into the budget already a little bit. We're planning on hopefully doing a lot of that in-house. So if we don't need 5% from the public, don't take it from them, because I'm sure they'd rather put an extra tank of gas in their car, some food on the table, and pay the taxes that they have to pay now. Don't make them struggle any more than that people are, because people are struggling out there.
There's a lot that aren't.
Just
Don't
to
tell me that,
answer,
because over here, you look at the stats here, people are struggling. So,
just to answer Richards, now I don't know if this is an accurate up to date, but at the last publishing of it, it looks like Nemi's council is sitting at 2.3%. Okay,
They're usually one of the first ones out, so.
yeah, so that was November, and they had originally started at a 4.33% estimate when they were starting the budgeting process. And in November, they said they had cut that budget levy to 2.3%.
Sudbury's at 7.3.
That's it.
somebody's building a hell of a.
They got to read it paper.
Whoa. And we're not talking millions, we're talking billions.
Want to put my hand down.
Okay. You can now speak, sir.
So when we go back to the budget for the dumps, I'll use plural. The budget came from a figure that was quoted in a RFP that was sent out by our previous contract manager, Christian. And it was a suggestion by her, by the contractor, that he didn't have time to come do it. It was suggested by them to, in Patricia, that we do it ourselves. And so we have to have the right time. So the figure came for all three dumps to be looked after by a contract by the approved contractor. So as it turns out, we did save a lot of money. Now,
But that, sorry, that wasn't for all three. That was strictly for Providence Bay.
Providence Bay.
I
You were wrong.
understood that Minnemoya and Spring Bay were included.
No, no, the RFP was strictly for Providence Bay.
Okay, so I stand corrected. Thank you.
I just looked
Another
up Sudbury's increase.
distraction. Can we move on?
Sudbury's increase is 3.9, just to let you know what.
Under base 4%.
Yeah, so
So
3% is not.
we have two options that are here, 2 and 5, so. whoever
3 and
wants to
5.
speak.
3 and 5.
Oh, I thought it was 2.
And you said 3.
We also have a motion on the floor here, right?
Okay, so we do have a motion on the floor. Is there any more discussion? The
There is
motion
more
is,
discussion.
okay,
Sorry. So in the midst of all this, the closing of Spring Bay Hall and the closing of the ice plant in Providence Bay is going to reveal a savings down the road, not immediately. So if you go from 5% to 3%, it's probably a safe bet that you're probably good. My preference would be the 5%.
That way you have a little bit of a cushion and something
That's why-
disastrous happens.
that's why we have reserves.
Sure.
So anyways, we've got, oh, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't considered the option of just splitting and making it 4, but, we've got a motion.
Got a motion of 3, is that?
Yeah, so we have a motion at 3.
Yeah, are you thinking, suggesting 4?
Okay, well, we do have a motion on the table for 3.
And we've already spoke to it, so now I'm gonna go ahead and
Call the vote.
call for vote. John?
No.
Rose?
No,
Dale? Linda?
Yeah.
I think we've already got our vote.
Brian,
Anyways, go ahead.
it's yes, and,
Derek's a yes.
okay, so that's for the 3%. And so that motion has failed,
We're looking for another motion.
so. So who wants to do a motion?
I'll make a motion, 3.5.
I had my hand up.
Dale's
I'd like to
got
make
it.
a motion that we compromise to 4% for this year. Increase.
Just to keep everybody apprised, that would make our reserve full 1,000,002.
Just
Just
over.
over $1 million. Yeah, in terms of balancing the budget.
Okay, so we have 4% on the table, a second for that,
I will.
Rose?
Yeah.
Anyone opposed? Sure.
Okay, let's just have a vote for that.
Another round robin here. I love it. Dale,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Derek,
Go ahead.
Opposed.
Brian.
I'm opposed to.
I want 3 too, but I'm not gonna get a vote here.
All right, well, motion has passed at 4%.
Eleven.
Okay.
What's the better?
Big problem.
All right,
Have a good day.
we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Please, John.
Sure.
Too many people misunderstanding how taxes work.
Any direction. Anyways. Thanks for everybody